Good morning, Year 11. Welcome to Wednesday's lesson. Please could you write down the date and title and underline them in your homework books. Thank you. Now this is going to be our final lesson on question 2 for language paper 2 today. We're going to move on to question 3 tomorrow for something fresh and new. Now in the background, I really hope you can't hear any drilling sounds. My neighbour is putting up scaffolding and it's slightly noisy. If you do hear anything, please try to ignore it and focus on me and my explanations and the PowerPoint. Right, let's crack on. By the end of the lesson today, you will be able to summarise the similarities or differences between the views presented in real exam sources, which means students have actually sat an exam paper on the sources you're going to read today, and you'll be able to work independently to create an answer. Because it's our final lesson on question 2 for now, before we come back to do some revision, let's do a quick recap. Question 1, you find 4 true statements, it's 4 marks, and you would only spend 5 minutes on it. Question 2, we're doing now, you write a summary about similarities or differences, it's 8 marks, and you only spend 10 minutes on it. Let's quickly recap question 1. Now, for the reading paper, I had to go away and do a little bit of research on this, just to remind myself. For the reading paper, where you are required to read sources, you cannot have a reader. For the literature paper, you can have a reader. So in order to help you prepare for that scenario, you from now on are going to be reading the sources on your own. So here, we're going to make a start. You have a paragraph from our first extract. Please read it on your own and write down the letters of the 4 true statements. Please pause your video and do that now. Okay, let's check your answers. A, C, D and H are the correct answers. Remember, you have to shade in the full circle so the computer that is marking it can pick it up. Now, before we go any further, we're going to quickly recap making inferences. Inferences are the key to getting yourself 8 marks out of 8. Trying to get yourself to make insightful inferences, which means going beyond the obvious, is the key. So you have a short extract in front of you. Please read the paragraph carefully and then answer questions A, B and C. Please spend no more than 5 minutes on this, and in your answers try to use these phrases here to show inference. Please pause your video to do this now. Thank you. Okay, let's compare what you wrote to some of my ideas. So here I'm trying to model to you inference that goes beyond the obvious meaning, an inference that is implicit or implied. So why is Kyle distraught? Well, his report card is obviously bad, and my going beyond the obvious is perhaps he fears his parents will confiscate his PlayStation if they see his negative report. So I could have just said he's distraught because his report card is bad. But I've gone beyond the obvious and tried to infer why he might be so fearful of his parents seeing it. Why does he put his report card in a soup can? Well, to my mind, it suggests that he might have tried to hide it from his parents before by putting it directly into the bin, but perhaps they found it. So this time, he's being more clever and cunning, and he's hiding it more surreptitiously. So again, I'm going beyond the obvious. And lastly, was Kyle's report good or bad, and why was it like that? Clearly it was bad. Why was it like that? Well, he doesn't open his school bag when he comes home from school to do his homework. He instead plays 6 hours of video games. And he also probably doesn't go to sleep on time, so therefore he's tired and disengaged in school. So this is my implicit or implied inference. It's implied that he's tired, so he's probably disengaged in school. Let's apply this inference in a moment to the extracts. Before we do, let's quickly remind you, because it's our last lesson. Step 1, you annotate the extract with inferences that relate to the focus of the question. You plan your summary using Squid. You write your summary and you check your summary. And bingo, you should be on your way to getting 8 marks out of 8. Our question today is going to be to write a summary of what you understand about the different boards used by surfers. Keywords here are differences and boards. So, first of all, please could you write this, or not write, draw this into your book. You have a table with statement, quotation and inference, each source, and you need to leave enough lines in each cell for your own writing. Some of you have larger handwriting than others. I would say 2 to 3 lines for these cells here, and maybe 4 to 5 for the inference cell. This should actually say paragraph 1, my apologies. Please pause your video to draw this in now, and then we'll look at the extracts. Super, let's look at our extracts together. So here is extract 1. It's written in the 1950s. Please could you read this on your own? However, not quite yet. You need to read the extract, and then you need to write down 5 inferences about the boards used, the surfboards. Now, my maths is absolutely appalling, and I struggle with percentages, but I think I would be right in telling you only about 7%, if that, of this extract is about the surfboards. So you need to read it through in its entirety, but you've got to have laser vision to spot the key details that are about the surfboards, because there aren't a lot of them in here. So please, in a moment, read this and then write down 5 inferences about the surfboards, and you may even want to start considering what quotes you would use. Please pause your video and do this now. Okay, let's go on to source B. You should have written down your 5 inferences. Ooh, how do I get that? There we go. Source B, this is now from the 19th century. Same again. Doesn't have a lot of reference to the boards. You're going to have to use your laser vision to find it. Please could you pause the video in a moment, once I've just reminded you of your instructions. Once you have read it, you must write down 5 inferences about the boards and consider what quotations you might choose to explore. Please pause the video and do this now. Thank you. Okay, let's get back to our lesson. So you should have this written into your books. Now it's over to you to start planning out your summary. You need to make a statement, quote, and inference, looking at the differences in the boards. If you're unsure how to start, I'm not going to leave you abandoned. I will offer you some support, but I do encourage you to try to be independent. Even if you fear you might get it wrong, you need to start building up your confidence. If for any reason you are really feeling anxious and unsure and want some support, keep allowing the video to play. If you feel prepared to go it alone, please pause the video. Now, for those of you who need some support, here is an example statement you might make. The American boards are more commercialized, which means they're created to make a profit or money, and there are a range of boards that can be purchased, whereas the Hawaiians use natural resources to create their surfboards. So here is an example statement. If this is all you need to get you going, fantastic, and you think you can find appropriate quotes and make inferences, then brilliant. Well done. Pause the video now. If, however, you are struggling still and you don't know what quotations you would choose, I'm going to continue to support you. I do advise you, though, to perhaps just look at my statement, read my quotes, get an understanding of how you make them, and then try and make your own. Here's a quote to support my statements. So for the American boards, we've got hollow paddle boards, redwood slabs and balsa boards, whereas the Hawaiian ones are hand-carved, well-oiled and cared for. You now want to go ahead and try to make an inference. Once again, try to do this on your own, and pause the video now if you feel comfortable doing so. If you're still with me though, listening to the video because you're still feeling anxious or unsure, I'll demonstrate to you my inference. So take a moment now to read my inference of the quotations. Then you have the option. If you've stayed with me all this time because you're feeling a little uncertain about how to do this, you can copy down my example, or having read my example, you now might feel comfortable and confident enough to try and do this on your own. Please pause the video to either write my example down or create your own. We're going to end by looking at a model answer. Please read this model answer. If you have time, you should write it out, even if you can only do up to here, where it says performance, the first kind of paragraph. Then you should underline or highlight the squid features in the paragraph. Now, I know your lessons have been shortened to 50 minutes, and I don't know how long it took you to read the extracts, so please don't panic if you can't get onto this yet. I will amend my lessons next week when I get some feedback from you about how long it's taking to do each lesson. So please don't worry or panic. These lessons will stay on the system for you if you want to return to this in dear time, or if you can find some extra time where you'd like to copy this up because you want to get really high marks in your English GCSE. This is the last activity for the lesson. Okay, lesson completed. Well done for your concentration today. It's lovely to be here virtually with you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!